There are many games and players, but not always do they come together. Only a few titles end up in the hands of numerous buyers. However, there are games that have made a big breakthrough and are talked about and played by many for a certain period. The following 14 games are exactly those titles, at least on Steam. Thanks to SteamD, we can precisely track where the players are most active. Rank 14 is already a bit deceptive because Call of Duty includes not just one part of the long-lasting shooter series, but rather the umbrella term for Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, and Call of Duty Warzone. Starting any of these automatically increases the player count for Call of Duty. Therefore, it's not surprising that in 2022, 491,1670 players were simultaneously active. While this might seem low for Call of Duty, it's only the Steam portion. Including consoles and the Battle.net app, the numbers could be much higher. Still, the brand is doing quite well on Steam alone. The player numbers have ranged between 80,000 to around 150,000, which is not bad, especially considering the rather modest ratings for the latest installment. Combining survival, Nordic mythology, and procedurally generated worlds full of monsters. Valheim started with its early access version in 2021, with the right ingredients at the right time. The result was 502,377 simultaneously active players, albeit only at the start. Currently, the numbers are significantly lower, but still steady at 25,000 to 50,000 players. Despite starting with fewer players, there remains a loyal fan base. The big hype around Apex Legends isn't that long ago. Just at the beginning of 2023, the free-to-play hero shooter reached a player count of 624,473. Presumably, many players joined due to the revamped new class system. What's impressive is that Apex Legends didn't gather a large crowd at release, but has steadily grown since then. Since 2022, the player count hasn't dropped below 300,000 and is currently experiencing another upswing, especially in January 2024, likely due to the Final Fantasy crossover event. However, despite the good numbers, recent reviews indicate mixed feelings, with technical issues dampening the enjoyment for many long-time players. No one probably expected Goose Goose Duck to take 11th place. This multiplayer social deduction game, where players must hunt down geese or ducks, managed to create a small hype due to numerous disguises, plenty of levels, and the fact that Goose Goose is free. 702,845 players played the title simultaneously at its peak. And even today, around 20,000 players still engage with the game on average. That's quite an achievement, whether it's free or not. Entering the top 10 is Baldur's Gate 3. The role-playing game not only shines with numerous quests, stories, decisions, and a great turn-based combat system, but also resonated incredibly well with players. 875,343 people played the game at its release on August 3, 2023. Just to compare, even during its long early access phase starting in 2020, it only reached a maximum of 73,000 simultaneously active players. The release of version 1 didn't just bring a temporary spike. Even months later, Baldur's Gate 3 easily maintains a fanbase of over 200,000, an impressive feat for a single-player game. Hogwarts Legacy, despite not having the same replay value as Baldur's Gate 3, it found many fans in the world of Harry Potter. 879,308 players immersed themselves in the wizarding world simultaneously at its release in early 2023. A year later, there are around 17,000 players left, which isn't surprising without new content. Nevertheless, it's a respectable figure for a single-player adventure. Unfortunately, the promising MMO New World was a disappointment at launch, plagued by annoying bugs, monotonous endgame, and a bland story. Still, 913,634 players participated in the release, but many of them likely faced ongoing issues that detracted from the fun. From nearly 1 million simultaneous players, only 15,000 to 30,000 remain in 2012, a significant decline despite a decent player base. Elden Ring was highly anticipated and incredibly successful. By the end of February 2023, a year after its release, 20 million players had bought the open-world Dark Souls game. With such sales figures, it's no wonder that the Steam player count at launch was 953,426. Although the peak isn't as high nowadays, there are still between 40,000 to 100,000 players exploring the world simultaneously. The recent announcement of the DLC Shadow of the Earth likely contributed to the last player increase. And when it releases in June 2024, player numbers may rise again. Despite criticism, Cyberpunk 2077 secured 6th place on the list of most played titles on Steam. Even with all of the bugs and issues, 154,388 players checked out the action-packed role-playing game directly at release. Understandably, the game's start numbers followed a strong downward trend in the following year, reaching a still respectable 15,000 to 30,000 players. However, CD Projekt Red made significant improvements, and with the release of the Edgerunners anime in 2022, the numbers rose to 130,000. The Phantom Liberty add-on, along with the Major 2 update, boosted the player count to around 280,000, showing a positive trajectory for the game. Dota 2 is basically the successor to Defense of the Ancients, a Warcraft 3 MOD that founded the entire MOBA genre, i.e. multiplayer online battle arena. In terms of popularity, this multiplayer game has far surpassed its predecessor. At its peak, 1,295,114 people played the title simultaneously, which is not unusual for multiplayer titles. The peak did not happen right at the start in 2013. Rather, Dota 2 gradually became an absolute fan favorite. Unlike many others on this list, its success is sustainable, which is more plausible in the MOBA genre than in single-player campaigns. These titles also focus on long-term player engagement. Nevertheless, even today, Dota 2 easily reaches over 700,000 concurrent players. In 2022, the title broke the million mark again. Lost Ark, which premiered in South Korea before making its Western debut in February 2022, captivated a large audience, drawing in 1,325,305 players at launch. However, it's essential to approach these figures with caution, as Lost Ark has encountered issues with bots, which might inflate the actual player count. Developer Smilegate is actively combating this problem, which has led to a decrease in reported player numbers. Currently, the impressive initial player count has dwindled to around 60,000 concurrent players. Although this is a significant drop, it could indicate a healthier and more authentic player base if the developers manage to resolve the bot issue and continue to enhance and expand the player experience. Taking third place on the list of most played Steam games is a title from the platform operator Valve itself, Counter-Strike 2, or rather Counter-Strike Global Offensive, as Part 2 replaces CSGO on Steam. Despite CSGO previously hitting millions, it wasn't until the limited test of Counter-Strike 2 that it reached its peak. 1,818,773 people played the latest version of the popular multiplayer shooter simultaneously. Like Dota 2, Counter-Strike 2 continues to maintain a large fan base, effortlessly reaching 1 million concurrent players today. Rank 2 may no longer be surprising, but PAL World landing so high on the list would have been unimaginable a few weeks ago. Over 2 million players were simultaneously active at the release. The blend of survival and Pokémon collecting proved to be a jackpot for developer Pocket Pair Inc. Despite some controversies, the community remains largely unfazed, with PAL World maintaining between 100,000 to 400,000 players, with numerous new content updates planned. At the top of the list of most played titles on Steam with an incredible player count of 32,157,248 is the Battle Royale shooter PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds virtually popularized the genre single-handedly, paving the way for titles like Fortnite, Apex Legends, and Call of Duty Warzone. Despite being at the top, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds has slightly receded in the long term from its peak in 2018. However, even today, around 300,000 to 600,000 players are active, demonstrating its enduring appeal. These were the 14 most played games on Steam. Which ones do you regularly play, or did your favorite not make it into the top 14? Let us know in the comments.